You sit in your cell?
I'm allowed to do nothing.
Yeah. You get out of your cell at all?
I get out of a little square box about from there to there. Not very,
Is that where you get your exercise?
If you call it exercise, not really exercise. They just got this excuse. See, they give excuses and they play you off to like they're doing something, but they're not. Not really.
Where do you have your meals? Do you eat in your
in
cell?
Itself, yeah. I'm forced to trust it, whether I like to eat from people's hands or not.
Yeah.
I'm holding the trust of California in my stomach.
You get a lot of letters. I know that. They said you get lots of mail here. Do you get mail from family members? Sandra
What are
Good?
family members?
Well, people that used to hang out with you. Sandra Good, I know, moved here.
Sandy's a good person. She's a wonderful human being.
She writes you often.
She did 10 years in prison trying to stop the chemicals from being poured on the land. Don't say she did it for me.
Yeah.
She did it for herself. She did it for the world she lives in.
You hear from her, though? You guys?
Yeah, we write back and forth. She's all right.
Mm-hmm. Do you make friends in prison? Is that possible?
Friends?
Do you have friends in prison? Mm-hmm. How do you define friendship?
I live by God's law. I treat everyone just like I would myself. Mm-hmm. If you treat me right, I'll treat you right. Mm-hmm. If you spit on me, then I got a spit coming.
Do you ever feel like you're in danger? You were once a fellow inmate once set you on fire, I think, in a previous state. Do you ever feel like you're threatened when you're in prison?
No, not really.
Yeah. Not here, I guess, because you're so.
What set me on fire was a thought.
I thought it was gasoline.
No, it was a thought from India.
Yeah.
You remember the next day that the head of India was shot and killed?
I didn't realize that was the same time.
Hey, look here. I'm not on a local level.
You're on an international level?
I'm on a world level 3 times around. I know why the Queen wears her 3 stripes on her hat. And I know why she goes to Kentucky to get her horses. There isn't anything I don't know from here to the IRA. I know who gets bombed and why those 17 people starved themselves in Belfast. That's because I live in cell 17. Because those are angels that fly in my world. To me, those are 17 machine guns. yeah.
If you hadn't grown up institutionalized, as you said, since you were 10 years old, what do you think would be different now for you?
Well, I haven't grown up.
Okay.
And I don't think I will.
All right. Well, if you hadn't spent all that time in prison from the age of 10 on, how do you think things would be different for you then?
I'd probably be dead.
Yeah?
Prison has saved me a lot of times. Prison's not a bad place. Prison's like a monastery. You come and get your stuff together, you straighten out your hand, you get another chance to start all over and get it right.
Do you think people get rehabilitated in prison?
Why, sure. Hell yes.
How does that happen?
You have to do it inside yourself. You have to figure it out what's wrong with you.
Yeah. But do you need a prison to do that?
A prison helps. A prison helps. Like a lot of times, let me give you this, like veterans raised me. The men that were in the Second World War were my cottage supervisors when I was a kid. They taught me how to play handball. They taught me how to box. They taught me how to be honest with myself. They taught me a whole lot of things that are really pretty good. I fought against them for years, and I didn't really understand until I conquered myself, but they told me that the only guy I'm fighting is me, and I'm my own worst enemy. And when I get that straightened out, then I can touch somebody else. But in order to do that, sometimes you got to go through hard knocks, and you got to go through the hard part. The hard part. In other words, how are you going to go to heaven unless you danced in hell? I mean, how are you going to know it? How are you going to feel good unless you feel bad? I mean, it runs both different, like.
When you were first imprisoned, you were on death row. Your sentence was commuted in the early 70s. How did you feel, though, before that time?
I knew that my sentence would be commuted.
You knew that all
along? Well, sure.
Yeah. So you weren't afraid about being executed?
I knew it when I was standing in the courtroom.
Yeah.
See, each man knows when he wants to. Each man knows when he must know. When you're pushed in a position to know. I stood in the courtroom, I told the judge, man, I'm dead in this. What I meant by I'm dead in this, I don't have no thought. Ain't none of that. That's the generation of the 60s. I'm not a generation of the 60s. I'm a generation of the 30s. I played on the same ball club that your old man made movies of in Virginia, the VMI, with Natural Bridge, when I was a little kid, 1950. Before the Korean War started, I was in a little federal boys camp, everyone thinks I just came on the set in 1969 because I'm little and I look young, so they felt I was young, but I was an old man when I got busted. I'm an old man now, but I was still an old man then.
Should you be in prison at all? Should you have been in prison?
Well, see, to start with, prison was originally started as a farm. And if you liked the person that came in your courtroom, you gave him another chance to be reborn and enter into a right way of life. Prison was not built to punish people. It was built to help people. That's why they're called peace officers. But sadistic ding-dongs got in there and wanted to make it into be the shadows of what they thought. And the incompetent and the inadequate need to punish someone so they feel better. So it's like in reform school, they used to lay me down and beat me with leather straps so I couldn't walk. And I used to think, what did I do wrong? And for years I would think that I was wrong, that I did something wrong, and then I seen it wasn't that I did anything wrong. They beat me so they show the next kids now what not to do. So, you know, in other words, like, prison is the mind. Most of the people that work in the prison are more in prison than the people they've got in prison. They've just got their kids in prison. They got the poor people in prison. They got people that have no money in prison. I don't understand what prison is anymore.
Would you like to get out of prison?
I'd like to get out of handcuffs.
Yeah.
In other words, like, I can't buy no illusion or no carrot on the nose. In other words, you do what I say and I might do this. And then I do what you say and you never pay me. I go through Vacaville and I carry Vacaville on my back for 18 years and they promised me a mainline. 3 doctors took me off Category J and took me off high violent potential. I go back to San Quentin. They need me for high violence so they can sell this thing to the public that they're selling to the public, so they have more income taxes, build more prisons, and convict the public in their eyes as if they're doing the right thing and protecting the public and doing good, that they're creating more crime. We're creating the crime that's eating us up. We're creating it with our media. We're creating. Criminals are our children. We don't want to face that, but the criminals are our children. Huh?
Let's say tomorrow they come to you and they say, Charlie, we made a mistake. You don't belong here. We're letting you go. What's your first move once you're out the door?
Go where?
Yeah, they're going to let you go.
I'd probably get myself a motorcycle.
Yeah. Where would you go?
Put a couple of sleeping bags on it and just walk around. Go. I don't really go anywhere. You can't move. Anywhere you go, you're always there. I'm the universe. How am I going to move the universe? You move here, I'm here. I mean, where am I going to go? I mean, you're here. If you go back to L.A. and you sit down, you're still here. Anywhere you go, you're always there, man. You can't get away from Ireland. I lived in Mexico City with a bullfighter, and he was teaching me how to fight the bulls. He had just came back from Spain with a beautiful woman. She had 3 beautiful daughters. And it was in a villa in Acapulco, and I was trying to dive off that cliff. And I busted my head, and I was locked up in this little room, and they had a little parrot. And they treated me like I was somebody. They gave me respect. And I taught that parrot how to say mother. And he was very staunch and you know, he's very upstanding, you know. And when I left, that parrot was flying up and down the hallways, saying that curse word. And I've always felt bad.
That was bad. What's the best thing that's ever happened to you in your life?
I don't really have all that in my mind. It's pretty well balanced out. It's all what I make it. You know, it's all what I make it. So let me ask you a question before we go any further. Do you think, in your mind, from you, not from what somebody else said, but do you think that I've done something bad that I should be ashamed of and feel guilty about?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what you've done and what you haven't done. So it's really not for me to judge. I know you're here, and to most people that suggests that you must have done something pretty bad. Obviously, I know all about the Tate LaBianca murders and that case. But no, it's not for me to judge exactly what you've done. I don't have the I don't have the reel of your life.
Okay. I'll open up another chamber for you. I'm looking at you. I don't see no fear or guilt in you. So I wouldn't think that you've done very much that you're ashamed of.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm not blind. I can see that. Now I'll tell you this. Lino Banyanka was killed for a black phone book with all the numbers in it. The phone numbers that controlled the music market. Sharon Tate and those people were killed because Terry Milcher broke a contract and sent 3 Orientals with hatchets over to kill somebody else. He didn't directly do that. What he did was he sent his mother's man over to put the light out in another chamber. In other words, you raise man up in the music, and everybody wants to say, hey, well, mine is better than his, and what are you doing up on my stage? And who controls what on this set? And who is the man on this set? Clark Gable? Or where's your fear? Or how does your heart beat upon this altar when you see Sharon Tate's body laying there all naked, murdered, dead? Do you think I had something to do with that? That was the altar. It had nothing to do with me. It was the turnaround of the whole world. It was the Aryan woman that was being bought up from the head for Rosemary's Baby. They was the cult. Did they tell you about all the film that they got with the dogs and the chauffeurs that came out of the black and white when Hugh Brenner and Peter Sellers paid $30,000 to get the videotapes back that they had done with the pornography where they was gobbling on each other's knobs in the closet with Sharon, poor Sharon, beautiful Sharon? I'll give you something that may be beneficial to your awareness. A guy comes from the University of Southern California into the criminally insane ward, and he says, I am your doctor. I am here to help you. Okay, I need help. He says, what happened in so-and-so? How do you do such and such? How does it work for so-and-so? And when you go through it, how does your mind? And he said, if you come to help me, why are you asking me the question? He gathers valid information, and if I don't give him information, he'll send this guy in with a big syringe to drug me down out of my head to where I can't stand up.
That stuff happens in prison?
Happens? What do you think's been happening to me for the last 20 years? You people are just completely unaware of yourselves and what you're doing.
You've been
I've been
tortured in
beat,
prison?
I've been burnt, I've been drugged, I've been misused in every direction whatsoever. It's got a new book that just came out that's just totally full of insanity. I can't get to a telephone. Anybody can write a book and say anything they want about me. Anybody can get on the TV and say anything they want. It's okay. It's okay. Because I'm already down and I'm handcuffed, and now they see I'm helpless, so they feel like they can get away with it. But as soon as I'm unhandcuffed, you watch the Sellecks and the Hansons, you watch all them Murphy Browns and all them Rose O'Connors, you watch all them start running. You watch them start running when the devil gets loose.
Well, if the devil gets loose, what do those people have to worry about?
Their own conscience.
Yeah. I mean, you made it sound like you go after something.
When the devil gets loose, that's your own, the devil's inside of you, man. Each guy's got his own little devil. And that's the doubt and fear that you got inside yourself. There's already people outside that see me in the fire every night. They're running for me in all kinds of different directions, but only because they did me wrong. And then there are other people that knows they didn't do me no wrong. I didn't do them no wrong. I'm just sitting here going, look, fool on the hill, man. I ain't done nothing. I've done nothing but play the guitar.
How is the real Charles Manson different from the Manson that's portrayed in the media?
I think I'm a little worse.
You think so? In what way?
Well, I'm more real than they say. They make me into being a lie and phony. They make me into being subject to what other people think. I'm not really subject to other people's thinking. I'm subject to my grandfather and my grandmother and the Bible and the cross. I believe in Christ. I believe in the Bible. And I believe in my Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I am a child. Now I'll lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, maybe I'll pick a peace.
Since you brought it up, and it's not our intention to really rehash Tate LaBianca. That's not why we're here. But since you brought up religion and Christ, what do you think Christ would have thought about what went on in Sharon Tate house and LaBianca's house.
We all have Jesus within us.
Did Tex Watson have Jesus within him while he was sticking a knife and a fork into Nina LaBianca?
Tex didn't have any choice. Tex was trapped in his mother's mind. He had to do what he did.
He was a slave to his upbringing?
He was a slave to society. He had to do what he had to do because that's what he was thrown into by the world he lived in. And like any convict will tell you, I walk the line. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I walk the line. I walked with Tex. But when Tex took out his knife and he went out for so-and-so, I said, excuse me, I got to go to the canteen and get myself an ice cream. I've walked that line all my life. I've walked that line in San Quentin and Folsom. I've walked that line in Leavenworth. I've walked that line in Alcatraz. I've walked that line all through the federal prisons. When you walk a line in the penitentiary and somebody's got a knife and they're headed for someone, the best thing you can do is tell them, look, man, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And if he says, I'm going to do it, then you say, okay, get out of his way. Because that's his life. It's got nothing to do with you.
You seem to be suggesting that the Tex Watsons of the world, and I don't mean just pick on him in particular, but anybody who does crimes, who kills people, who does horrible things, that they don't really have a choice, that they're the product of society.
Do any of us have a choice?
Well, I don't know.
Do you believe in God?
No, I don't. But
you believe in yourself?
Well, I think, therefore I am.
Okay.
So, but what I'm wondering is, what about free will? I mean, does Tex Watson have no responsibility for himself?
What about free will? What about free will?
What about free will?
When I was from 10 to 21, I used to ask if I could have my rights. And they said, you're a juvenile, you don't have no rights. Get over and shut your mouth, boy. And then they'd hold me down on the sled and beat me till I couldn't walk. So, why can't I do that?
So, turnabout's fair play.
Oh, you got permission. You got permission to do it. You can do it to me.
Well, I'm not interested in
No,
doing it.
but no, I'm saying, if what you do to your children are going to raise up to do what? I mean, you get back what you put out. Is that right or wrong? If you don't believe in God, you believe in the balance of karma, the balance of your own will, the balance of what you know to be true. Whatever you do is on you. You got to be judged by your God. Don't judge me, man, behind what Tex did. If you kill somebody, you killed yourself. Because if you live by that gun, and you live by that knife, and you kill by that gun, and you kill by that knife, then you got no turns coming at the bitch table if it's your turn to die by that gun and that knife. I play a lot of music. I play the kind of music that is beyond the music that you've probably heard. The music I play is powerful, and it's frightening. And it's almost what someone would call demonish and devilish. It's almost as druids would be on the altar of. And I have a certain following that are committed to the world and the earth balance of what we call aqua, the air, the water, the trees, and the animals. We're not committed to people because we understand people are not really worth our commitment because they don't serve any function except the self-important trips that they get on for whatever.
Yeah, I know you like to play music. Are you able to play your music?
No, they took my music away. They're scared of it. They're afraid of it. They took it and gave it to somebody else.
Well, I got a little surprise here for you. We, executive producer found a CD, which is not your voice, apparently, but apparently your songs. And we took the liberty of bringing a little box here along so that you could hear.
Let me explain it. It's never been my thought to be anything other than what I am. I went to Hollywood because people wanted me to go there. And they would tell me, come over and do this because we got some acid. Or go over there and do that because there's some girls. And I would go and I would play, but when it came down to, I wouldn't be through that. I just got out of one prison. Why do I want to need to go through another? I got all the money I could use. I'm a mafioso. I'm a godfather in the underworld. I don't need no money. I don't got a job. I'm not in trade. I don't buy and sell things. You see what I'm saying? That particular album was made off a little old $7 tape recorder. And it was put together as a promotion angle for the guy who made $600,000-$700,000 for that. My music is not on tape.
Well, this apparently isn't you singing. Sandra Good talked to our producer yesterday and told us that this is actually somebody named Steve Grogan.
Yeah.
But I'll just give a little shot.
I heard of him.
Yeah.
He used to call him the dog boy.
The time for the blues. The time keeps on flying.
Recognize the song?
Baby, and all you do is crying. Can you feel those feelings real? Look at your game, girl.
Yeah, that's an old song.
Yeah, I guess these are all back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's an old time trip, man. I see that reminds me of ancient history.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I guess there were some other...
Me? Not my inner being, you know. So I told you I spent a year in the hold. The captain came by. And he looked at me and said, "Son, can I help you?" I told him, "I don't think you're my father. But if I did, you'd just laugh at me." He said, "No, I won't laugh at you." I said, "You promise you won't laugh?" He said, "I promise." I said, "Shit." He looked at me to play a weak little game. And then I looked at him and I said, "You know, I haven't had a letter from my mother in over 7 years." And he went the other way. I said, "Why don't you run down there and get me a bar of soap?" And everybody else was up on it, said, "Please," and they're begging him. And I wouldn't beg him. And he hated me because I wouldn't look up to his virtues. I would have looked up to his virtues if he'd have been truthful and honest. He wasn't truthful and honest. He was playing this little face game. It's like, let me tell you something that you don't see. You go behind the church and you look at the preachers. They're playing with the Boy Scouts in the dark. And they're as nasty as anybody in the street. And they're without conscience and without morals. But then you pass through the door into the churches. "Oh, we're so much love. And we love you, and you're so wonderful." And I'm down at the bottom, standing in fire. Face is on fire. And I'm thinking, why am I holding these people up?
What's the key to morality for you? What's evil to you?
I'm God to my friends, and I'm devil to my enemies. To my own and my family, I'm the warrior, the fighter, the biter, whatever I got to do or be to feed me. See all the puppies running for the dog food, running for the bowl. Well, I'm in the puppies, and I push all the other puppies, and I want some of the chow too. And I eat first. And if there's some left over, then I look out for what's next in order. Then I look out for my old lady because she's carrying my sleeping bag. You remember in 1969, the first thing I said?
I'm not sure.
To the public, I said, "Go ride a horse." Because that's where my mind was. You arrested me from the desert, and I'm out there with the horses. I'm not in the city with the automobiles. Automobiles are making the pollution that's killing us. I'm not living in the electricity world. I'm not living in TV. On a TV show, I only know one guy that owned a TV. And I would come down from the mountains into his living room, and I wouldn't want to go in his house because there was TV in there. He said, "Come on in. TV ain't going to bite you." He said, "I only watch one program." I said, "Which program's that?" He said, "Star Trek."
You watch TV here?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
You keep up with current events? Do you watch the news? And
I don't watch them, all them little cheap, vicarious old women fear things. All they're doing is selling fear to them old witches, them old broads that live on that vicarious thrill. You watch him in the show, and he said, and he killed her, and he drove her down by the car, and they go, "Oh," you know, they're all just, that's silly, man. It's really, that's another thing I'm mad at the whole society about. Your minds are all stuck in movies. You can't get to reality unless you go through a movie. You got to make 4 or 5 movies before you get to the reality of it. Everybody wants to be locked up, so they make movies up over my thoughts. They steal my thoughts, they put microphones in my walls, they put them in my sink, they steal my letters, everything I do or say, it just becomes a Magnum PI on one hand, And Robert Conrad on the other going, I'm a secret agent for the Rubeflam, the Banflams, and all that Robert Flam dance to get up roll. Funds you get to let it get up to the fun because it's the best roll dance. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
oh, I got
kind of creative in there.
Yeah. Life.
How can you give society rights when society don't give rights?
Which rights do you think have been violated?
I didn't even get to put on a defense. I never got to call one witness. When it came time for me to put on a defense, it became a political thing. Let me give you this real quick. The Catholic Church has been trying to turn this country into Catholic for years. They ride on the courtroom. The Protestant Church is the United States government. The Constitution was a covenant with the cross and the Bible. Freedom of religion was freedom of our religion. Freedom of the Protestant religion, out from underneath King George to where the honest labor man, the man of the mountains and the hills and the guys in the hose, had entrance into the court. But when you cut me out of the courtroom, you didn't give me my rights in a courtroom. You tripped over yourself, Nixon. When you set a thought in your courtroom, that sets a reality in these men that hold the procedure. They are paid to hold that procedure in the will of the rules. The rules are the will of God. That's what the law is. It's there to protect everyone. What about Charlie? Are you going to give Charlie his rights? We can't give Charlie that courtroom. If we give him that courtroom, we got to give him the robe that goes with it, because Charlie knows more about what's going on in this world and country than we do. Because it goes to this, sunshine. The father of our father went into war and are in the grave that fought for our rights in this country. My grandfather lays buried in the veterans' burial ground for my rights. I have permission by the Constitution to bear arms. And if you don't abide by those rules and rights, then I have the right to go into revolution and do anything to you that you're doing to me. That's a revolutionary, universal law that comes from God.
Do you consider yourself a revolutionary?
Well, sure, definitely. Everybody's afraid to call me a political prisoner, and Amnesty International won't accept me. And everybody runs to the eastward, Uganda, with their skyjacking before they'll face the truth in it. But here's the truth. In juvenile hall in Indianapolis, Indiana, in 1944, 1945, the military court tried and convicted 6,000 Waffen SS men in uniform and judged those men who fought for God and country, for a cross and Bible. They judged those men to be criminals, and they judged that war to be a crime. That war was not a crime. I don't care how many times you judge it. By all rules and regulations and Bibles and any word that's spoken in any language knows that when you're fighting for God and country and you're in a war, you fight or you're executed. When you're going to war, you're not going in to spank somebody on the wrist like Korea. You're going into the last man, woman, and child. You're fighting for your God, your life, and your country. You're fighting for your children, your dogs, and your chickens. There ain't no quarter. There ain't no in-between. Them men were forced to do what they had to do. And you hung them for obeying orders? And you call them criminals? This is important. It may not seem like it, but it'll communicate thought to you later.
Do you have any feeling at all about the death penalty?
Sure, I've got lots of feelings. You guys think that we're criminals and we're bad guys, you know. I mean, but there is no such thing as criminals and bad guys. There's only what you make us do. You forced me into a situation where I got no choice, and I'm pushed and pulled in to do a whole kind of crazy things. And then you say, oh, he's crazy, he did all this, he's no good, and he's all these bad things. Because you need someone to be bad, because you got the brain of a chicken. You need someone to peck on, make you feel better. And when you can put someone in the gas chamber, then you feel like you're doing all right. I say this, if my will be, and I be in my will, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, I would let everybody out of prison that didn't want in prison. And then if I catch you breaking the law, I'll just shoot you.
So I gather you do believe in the death penalty.
If I want to punish you...
As long as you're,
yeah,
you're
if I want
administering
to
it.
punish you... Wait a minute, listen. If I want to punish you, I'll beat you. But to use you for political and sell your blood, no, I couldn't do that. Because I have morals and standards. And I would never break the law.
Have you ever broken the law?
Yeah, when I was young, and I didn't know the difference.
So you know better now.
I always say, yeah, I've been knowing better. That's what I told the judge. I'm dead, and I thought, man, no way in hell I'm going to step over that line. Only an idiot would break God's law.
Do you know who your parents are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever... When was the last time you saw your parents?
Saw my mother in the visiting room in McNeil Island.
Yeah. That would have been back in the 50s?
62.
Yeah. If you could get a message to them, what would you say to your parents?
Same thing I've always said.
Which is?
Whatever they say.
Right. What do you think of your parents?
I don't really judge that much. I don't judge people. Christ said, judge not. I kind of live by that.
Yeah. A minute ago, though, you were talking about shooting people who broke the law, which would
That's
require
God's will.
a certain amount of...
There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah?
There's a difference.
What is the difference?
The difference is that if you're not prepared to do that, then you shouldn't be representing the law.
Yeah.
Because in order to do that, you'd have to be willing to be shot.
And you're willing to be shot?
I follow God's law, sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. That's why I've been through all the things I've been through.
So
I told the court, I did not break the law. Whatever I did not break the law. Because the law is truth. The law is justice. The law is the 14th Amendment. We're standing on 13. Let's look at 14 now. Give me my 14th Amendment, man. Give me my rights in a courtroom. Let me call my witnesses just like I'm supposed to have. Judge Keene took my pro per. And the very same person that snuck the writ in to get him to take my pro per, he signed a contract with to make movies.
Pro per means...
My right to defend myself and assistance of counsel. I never got into that courtroom. They stood a lawyer in front of me and said, this is your lawyer. I said, that's not my lawyer. That's your lawyer. No, that's your lawyer. No, he's not my lawyer. I'm my lawyer. According to the rules and regulations of this Constitution, you know where my lawyer is? The lawyer that you gave me, not you, but the system gave me, is in a nut ward. He's crazy. He's insane. He was insane the day you gave him to me. But you put him on me. There wasn't anything else I could do. I had to accept him. I said, well, I'll take you to get my pro per back. And then he just kept lying, faking. And then when I knocked him down in the courtroom, they said I was bad. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not justice. It's not my rights. I heard your father on TV talk to the United Nations. And I listened to every word he said. And every word he said was as perfect as if God had said it himself. I said, now that he said it, who's going to enforce it? Who's going to make it so? We're all supposed to get rights. Well, then give me my rights. Crime. You've got to realize that crime is a war. And you're not going to win this war by fighting yourself. Because you're at war with your children. You got abortion clinics cutting the babies out of your own daughters because you can't face that your daughters are being ripped off and taken and made pregnant when they don't want to be pregnant because you don't have the backbone in your own system to obey by your own rules and regulations. My old lady gets busted in San Francisco. The district attorney sends her a hand-shoe lawyer and says, if you work for me for a couple of nights, I'll go to bail. If the district attorney is pimping prostitutes, the governor's running the numbers racket out of his office, he's raffling off the souls of his very church. And then you come back to me with the welder's torch, burn up the evidence locker, And every crook in the United States knows that that $50 million of cocaine that come up missing from the Vice Squad didn't burn up. You're not bullshitting us. We see you. You want us to abide by rules and regulations, but who's making you abide by the rules and regulations? I drive down the road in a Rolls Royce and I'm smoking a joint of marijuana. Baby, I'm okay. I drive down the road in an old 1948 Chevrolet and I get swamped and stepped on, you know.
How's that going to solve the problem of crime, though?
Because the bigger crime is what's making the little crime. You got little crimes, you lock people up in jail, but you got the big people that are pushing all the little people. You got people that are leading you into captivity by saying, take a knife and change your clothes and go kill your mom and dad. And a bunch of kids raise up and they go kill their moms and dads, and then they say, oh, we all got haircuts and we're living in Wall Street. We didn't grow up. They didn't do no time. Jerry Rubin, A.B. Hoffman, they didn't do no time. Jane Fonda and Joan Baez, they didn't do no time. But they're awful quick to jump up and say, hey, kids, why don't we go over and do this? Hey, kids, why don't we go and do that? We blame Charlie for it, and it's all right, see? But crime comes into the living rooms of everyone. You've got to have a strong system, but in order for it to be a strong system, the system's got to be right, man. You can't fake it. You can't jump up and knock a bunch of people down and say, see how strong we are? That ain't gonna, you know, that's not going to do it. You got to be right. You got to finesse it. You got to have a one-world government. You got to have a one-world court. There can be no place in the world that you can get away.
In the meantime, though, since that is probably a long way away,
well, not as far as you might think.
Well, no, probably not going to happen next week anyway. In the meantime, what do you do with people that are going out and doing crimes on the streets, gangs, kids getting mixed up with gangs, that sort of thing? What's the answer to that?
Why are they doing it?
Well, why are they doing it? You just said they're being pushed from above, societies to blame.
They're being raised to do it.
Yeah.
You got a baby laying on the floor, radio singing, baby, won't you light my fire? Baby, won't you light my fire? And his mother comes in and says, you little firebug, I catch you playing with matches again. You know what's going to happen to you now? You get over there and shut your mouth. You're going to mouth to nothing. You're going to end up in the penitentiary. You watch me. Get over there. And then the little kid goes going a little like a fuse, phone up, and he's bossed on and running out in the street, and he gets more truth from a dope dealer than he can to people that are telling him not to deal with dope.
You've got, you talked a little bit about children. You've got some children, I think 3 children.
A bunch of them. I got a whole bunch I don't talk about.
What do you want them to think of their father?
It doesn't matter.
No?
What they think of themselves that matters.
Would you, do you have any words of advice for your children? Is there anything you would like to say to them?
Best way to find it out is find it out, man. The way you do. You know, everybody's got to do it the way they do it, you know. As your father lets you be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the same.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he doesn't give me some advice.
Well, sure, if you ask for it, if it's valid, you know, if I'm in a position to help someone, I'll do the best I can. But if I'm not in a position to do all that, then I have to take the position I'm in. I'm in a down position, so I take the down position. But I have all of my people and all of my friends and everybody I've ever met in good esteem. I judge no one. It's everyone's judging me. So you're looking at everybody judging me as being bad. I know what I am.
I'd like to get out.
If I got out, what would these people do? They wouldn't have any minds.
Is that what you're going to tell the parole board when you go?
Probably. I don't think I would manage to go to parole. It wouldn't go to parole for what? I mean, there's nobody there, man. Not really.
So
the district attorney's been following me around for 25 years, telling everybody he's a blah, 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 and he don't even know what he's talking about. You know, I mean.
You going to go to your hearing in February?
I doubt it.
You won't even show up for it?
I don't know. It depends on the vibration. It depends on everything. Just everything. I have to depend on what these guys want. I have to depend on all kinds of things. I may be on 4-point restraint tomorrow. They just took me off 4-point restraint, what, 2 months ago? A couple months ago, they took me off that thing. They had me tied down with all fours on some other things. I have to hold things you don't even have to think.
Well, what would you, if you do go to your parole board hearing, what are you going to tell them?
I might run for president.
Yeah. Well, we'll be waiting. We'll be holding our breath for that.